So we're going to give this character a morph-based head, which is the kind of character head that is best suited for animating photographic faces and faces like this that feature sort of lots of gradients and shadows and that kind of thing. And the reason why these heads are good and that they're easy to rig is that you only need one image to rig them, and the eyes and the mouth you can replace with free content that comes with Cartoon Animator. What we're going to do is select the head bone and go up into the Create Head button up here. I'm going to click on the side and you'll see here we've got Create Morph Based Head. So that's what we're going to do. And you'll get this message, would you like to save the face file before fitting? We haven't actually made a face file, so there isn't anything to save, so we can just say no. And we get this warning that you can only have one head per character. And do we wish to replace the current head? While we haven't actually made a head, you can see up here there's this layer talking head. It just doesn't have anything in it, and that's what we're going to be replacing, so we'll say yes to that. And now what we're going to do is select the exact same character image that we used for the body and just do open. And again we'll get this image is too large warning, and Cartoon Animator will resize it. Just going to say no to that. And there we are. First step we have to do is tell Cartoon Animator where the actual head of the character is. Now we can zoom in on this image using the magnifying tools up here. We've got zoom out, zoom in, actual size and fit to window, and drag and zoom. If we select drag and zoom, do that. And bring this in. Now we've got the crop tool here, so we're going to, as it says in the instructions here, use the crop tool to define the head region and use the image processing tools to adjust the image appearance. So we'll select the crop tool and click and drag out the head. You'll see on here we've got this arrow that's indicating where the top of the head should be, and with the handles here you'll see when the mouse icon is at a certain point, it's a square box, we can click and drag these in, and you'll see when it's a circle we can actually rotate the head, which you would do if your character image's head wasn't straight to begin with. So you can see up here this example image, the character's head wasn't straight, so you can rotate this box to line it up. What you want to do is have this arrow roughly in the middle of the head here and the box sort of lining up as best you can. Set this up straight and we're going to line this up. We don't want to get too close to the edge of the head. We want to have a little bit of space between there. And we want to make sure we don't have any of the shoulders in the image if we can avoid it, but we do want some of the neck. So get that. We'll get about the same amount of space there. Bring this up a bit at the top. We zoom out a bit if we can. We can get a little bit more space on top, and I think that's looking pretty good. Once you're happy with your selection, just click the apply button here, and there we've got the head. At the moment it doesn't look like it's transparent, but it actually is. The white background's just there. We'll make that fit the window. And once you've done that, you've got your head, you just click the next button to go to the next step. Now in this step you're going to be marking where the eyes are, and you'll see on the example here where you want to place these numbers. You can see Cartoon Animator itself has already taken a guess for where they should go, but if you want to zoom in a bit and get them right on their points, so this wants to be on the corner of the mouth, one wants to be on the other corner, one wants to be on the corner of the eye. Doesn't have to be perfectly exact at this point, just generally that's where they want to be. And once you've done that, hit the next button. Now we're going to do all these points on the face. They're pretty self-explanatory of what they are. You can see we've got eyebrows here, we've got the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and we've got the demo image up here showing you how they should be placed. You've got this mirror option here. If you check that, if you've got a symmetrical face pretty much like I do here, having the mirror option selected will mean that you can select a point here and the point on the other side will move with it, saving you a bit of time. You can also select in between the lines, so if I select that, now the whole thing is highlighted and move it, and see I can move it around. So again we can sort of zoom in on areas, get them just right. And we want to get these points in position. So I'm going to keep the mirror function on just for now. And I'm going to quickly line up all these points. And with these points that go around the chin, best to have them just outside the lines rather than on the lines. Otherwise the character will get a bit of a chin strap image and we don't want that. Once you've got things sort of roughly in place, one here, image. I'm going to take the mirror function off so I can do some fine tuning on some of the face here. That's not quite on the eyebrow, quite where we want it. Generally with these eye points you want the top and bottom one to be directly over each other. And nose over there. Right, so once you've done that, we don't go next just yet. You'll see up here we've got this more detailed points that we can edit. This is the basic points. We want to now do the more detailed points. So we'll click on that and you'll see if I zoom out, we've got a lot more points we can play around with. You'll see these outer points here, this region in red. This is generally for only things you want inside this are the ears and the hair. So if you've got like big hair, you want to make sure it's all inside of this, otherwise it'll get cut off. I'm going to turn the mirror function on again and we're just going to start bringing these out. And it doesn't have to be too perfect. Bring that up. Fine, I'm going to zoom in on the face. I'll even zoom in on the eyes a bit more. And again, we want the points below to be roughly in line with the ones above. And this mouth line wants to be close, is in line with the actual mouth as you can get. If you do actually have a character or image that has an open mouth, you can select this mouth here, and that will give you a second line that you can line up with the open mouth, and that will enable you to actually close the mouth of the character once the rig is finished. But this character doesn't have an open mouth, so we don't need that. Put this back and get that lined up best we can. Turn off the mirror function so I can do some finer adjustments. And I think that's looking pretty good. Right, and over a bit. Now you do have some preview buttons in here so you can see how it's all looking, but just be warned that this particular face fitting editor is very buggy on the previews and it often doesn't look anything like what the final result is going to be, but we'll run through it just so that you can see how it's looking. This button here will play all of these through, or you can just do each one individually. So I'll do them all through once and see what it looks like.
Up, down, left,
So you can see that looks really
and
terrible.
some natural movement.
And
Eyes
even
closing
the mouth isn't lined up.
and blinking.
The eyes aren't lined up.
Down,
the hair's all weird.
Left, right, and rolling.
So it's really not even worth looking at because it's not going to look like that in the final thing. I don't know why it does that. It's just very buggy. Sometimes you can fix it a little bit by adjusting the window.
Left,
It doesn't really do
right,
anything.
and some natural movement.
So don't take that as anything close to what this is going to look like when it's finished. I don't know why that's like that. But once you're happy with how you've done all those points, we'll move on to the next step, hitting the next button here. And this is just generally to line up with how the face is lined up. So if I click and drag here, we've got like this profile shape here. And what we're doing is determining the strength of that 3D shape. We've got these predefined profiles. You've got ones for comic characters, convex, you've got a long snout version, machine, strong chin, short snout, etc. And you'll see if I adjust the strength here to 20, you can see now we've got this really sort of long nose kind of thing. That's way more than what I need. Or if we go to 1, now we've got this really flat kind of face. Usually the default is pretty reasonable for what you want. You might take it in a bit, and I think I'm going to maybe go about 7 or a 6 for this face and just reset it so that it's perfectly aligned, and I'll go back to 7. You can do a preview here and you'll see that looks better than what the previous preview was. So you can see the actual face is kind of 3D, but the hair isn't. It's sort of looking flat. Feels a bit flat once you start turning too far. But it does give you some head movement, so there we go. Once you're happy with that, go OK there. You'll see now we've got this head on the character. I'm just going to move the window down, and it's way too big. So the first thing we're going to do is resize the head just by getting the selection tool, clicking on it, and we're going to drag the corners in. Make sure the width and height up here is linked with this button here. It should be red. We're going to drag in the corners until it roughly matches the head we've got there, and it's a good idea to make it just a touch bigger than the head that was actually on the character. But we want to get it lined up in place. We just center it like so and start to drag it out and make it just a touch bigger, not too much bigger. Okay, first thing we're going to look at is taking a preview of the character, and you'll see if we move the head at the moment, we've got this neck on the bottom of our head that we don't want, and we can also still see the head from the original body sprite behind here, so we've got to fix those two things up. We'll stop previewing it, we'll make sure we've got the head selected, and we're going to remove this neck section here by going to the mask tool, the face mask editor up here. So we're going to click on that, and this is the face mask editor. All of this blue area is transparent, and obviously all of this colored area is not. We're going to cover up the neck with blue using the brush tool. We've got brush, we've got the eraser tool, and we've got the blur tool here. We're going to start with the brush. We can make the size bigger or smaller. See, at the moment it's a circle there. I can get super huge or super small. Again, we can zoom in or use the click and drag thing here to select the area we want to see, and if we use the magic wand tool we can select a color range, but we're not going to do that because that's likely to put way too much into transparency that we don't want. We're just going to use the paint tool, paintbrush. We're just going to click and drag and paint over this neck here like so. It's going to get as close to that edge as we can. And if we want, we can use the blur tool just to soften that edge a little bit. Eraser tool on this side. And I think that should be good. Once you're happy with that, you can do preview. Yeah, that's looking. Using the blur tool doesn't help. Eraser tool, brush tool, I should say. I think that should do. Okay, you'll see now when we zoom in, do preview. Got a little bit of stuff there, but most of the neck's gone, so I can just go back in, quickly go back to the mask tool, and hopefully just zoom in on there. We'll go preview, paintbrush, and just clean that up and go. Okay, so now we want to get rid of the head that is behind this one. So this time we need to go to the mask tool, but not the one up here. We want to make sure the body is selected, and we'll use this mask tool over here for the body, mask editor. And this works pretty much the same as the other one. It's got a few extra things in here, but we're just going to use the same tools. We've got the brush, the eraser, size of the brush. We can actually adjust the hardness of the brush on here. So if we move this around, you can see the brush has an edge on it, which is basically giving the brush a blurred edge. We don't really need that, so we'll keep that on full. And we can feather things as well, but all we're going to do is zoom in on the head, get the brush tool and literally paint over the head like so, so that we can just see the top down to where the top of the neck is. Now what we're going to do is erase this section so that we've got a neck. We're going to get the eraser, and we want to make a circle that pretty much fits on top of the neck and includes some of the nose, so that that head bone or head bone nub is still touching the sprite. We're going to make the size of our eraser bigger. So that's probably a bit too big. 60. That looks pretty good to me there. I'm just going to click get it in position, click once, and that's going to be our neck. So don't need to do anything else here. Close down the mask editor, and you'll see now when we preview and move the head around, there's nothing behind it, and you can see because the head nub is still attached to the neck, it's having an effect on the neck when we move this, so that we're not seeing anything behind there. Now that we've done that, I'm going to go back to content, hit save or overwrite this character,